Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News at 5 starts now.
Good evening. Two different families are grieving after their loved ones died after they were admitted to Bakersfield Memorial Hospital. Tonight, 23 ABC is investigating some of the complaints that have been filed against the hospital. 23 ABC's Alex Bell joins us in studio with more. Alex?
In a matter of a week, 23 ABC has reported on 2 deaths at Bakersfield Memorial Hospital. In both cases, families claiming too much medicine was administered to the patients. Tonight, 23 ABC investigates deeper into the issue to see how many complaints have been filed against the hospital. Here's what we found.
On January 9th, the family of Sabrina De La Rosa says the mother of 3 died after being admitted to Bakersfield Memorial Hospital for labor pains. The family claims De La Rosa was given too much of the opioid drug fentanyl, a routinely administered pain reliever used in hospitals.
Her mother, Monica, had asked the nurse, "What are you giving my daughter?" And then that's when she disclosed the name of the medication, which was fentanyl.
Then a week later, the family of 51-year-old Bryant Dion Burgess said he went to the hospital for a cold and trouble breathing. According to Dion's family, he was given nearly 24 different types of medication, including fentanyl, and died within hours of going to Memorial Hospital.
I did everything I could to save your son. He said I might have gave him too much pain medicine.
Memorial Hospital President and CEO Ken Keller issued a statement to 23 ABC saying, while there are routinely multiple complex circumstances involved when providing emergency care, clinical leadership from Bakersfield Memorial Hospital and Dignity Health are deeply concerned about this incident. A full review of the care that Mr. Burgess received is underway, and we will work closely with state and federal regulators. According to the California Department of Public Health website, it shows Bakersfield Memorial Hospital had 144 complaints from 2017 to 2019. During those 3 years, we found that 54 of those complaints were substantiated. Of the 54 substantiated complaints, 26 were substantiated with deficiencies, which the CDPH defines as the complaint was substantiated and the facility violated one or more regulatory requirements. These violations are also called deficiencies. 23 ABC found the 3 categories with the highest complaints of substantiated deficiencies involving Memorial included 8 complaints having to do with quality of care and treatment, which includes resident safety, and nursing services, in which there were 5 complaints. And lastly, 5 cases of state monitoring. 2 examples listed in the complaints include surgery performed on the wrong body part and retention of a foreign object in a patient. We reached out to Memorial again today about these complaints, but they referred us to the statement they sent us yesterday.
Autopsy results are still pending for both De La Rosa and Burgess. We have also reached out to the California Medical Board for comment and are still awaiting a response. Meanwhile, if you would like more information on complaints filed at other local hospitals, or if you just want to simply know how to file a complaint yourself, we have a link on our website, which I'm going to show you guys right now. You can head to our website. This is our top story here at the page. You can go ahead and click on it, and when you scroll all the way down to the bottom of this story, you will see a link where you can actually go to the site yourself. It'll be highlighted in blue here. So once you click on that link, it'll take you to this page, and we have already filtered it for you guys to only see the hospitals located here in Kern County. So you guys can actually click on one of these links to see other local hospitals and see where you can look for complaints or file a complaint yourself. But for now, live in studio, I'm Alex Bell for 23 ABC News, connecting you.
All right, Alex, thanks for that. After days and days of witnesses taking the stand, closing arguments for the Leslie Chance retrial are expected to begin this week. The retrial started on December 9th. Chance, a former elementary school principal, is on trial for the 2013 murder of her husband, Todd Chance. Back in June of 2019, her case ended in a mistrial when the public defender's office declared a conflict of interest in representing her. During the course of the retrial, several witnesses and family members have been called to the stand. She's facing a charge of first-degree murder. The coroner's office has identified the man who was shot and killed in Oildale over the weekend. Officials say they received a call for a shooting victim around 3:30 Sunday morning on Beardsley Avenue. When they arrived on scene, they found a man later identified as Roger Archer Jr. with at least 1 gunshot wound. After receiving medical attention, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Officials say the shooting unfolded inside the Maine's trailer park. If you have any information on the shooting, you're asked to call KCSO at 861-3110. A multiple vehicle crash in Oildale led to one person with major injuries and the road being blocked. It happened just before noon today on North Chester Avenue and East Roberts Lane. According to CHP, one person suffered major injuries. No word at this time how many people were injured in total. The road is back open at this hour. For updates on this story, be sure to head to our website, turnto23.com. Bakersfield Police and California Highway Patrol issued multiple citations over the weekend as they continue their efforts to put the brakes on street racing. Officers made 15 traffic stops, handed out 9 citations, and impounded 1 vehicle. One person was also arrested for an outstanding misdemeanor warrant. Additional operations are reportedly scheduled over the next few weeks. Police hosted a virtual forum last week on Facebook and Instagram, answering questions about street racing and the efforts to try and stop it. BPD is set to host an in-person meeting on street racing tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Independence High School.
Well, it was a very cloudy start to your Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. We were seeing a bit of sunshine as we headed into the afternoon hours, but what we are tracking at this hour is a very weak system that is pushing onshore. Most of that is going to be north of the county, but right now some of those clouds here in Bakersfield actually could be holding some rain, but not a lot is going to be falling. We are going to be seeing the chance for some very light sprinkles as we head into the evening hours, but the valley is holding on to those low 50s right now. As you can see, just a trace amount of rain in Buttonwillow, Taft, and Maricopa, and that's really what you can expect as we head into the overnight hours. But if you are planning on heading out to the Martin Luther King Jr. March beginning at 6 o'clock tonight, you can expect those temperatures in the 50s, and as soon as the sun sets, it might be a bit chilly, so make sure you bring that extra jacket. But I have more details on an increase in winds you can expect tomorrow coming up next.
We turn now to the historic week in the impeachment of President Trump. The trial set to essentially begin tomorrow. The president this past weekend continued to blast Democrats for impeaching him as his legal team previewing their defense and legal strategy. ABC's Serena Marshall has more from Washington.
On the eve of the president's impeachment trial, the House managers in charge of prosecuting the case crossing the Capitol to check out the turf they'll be arguing their case on. Tight-lipped as the legal back and forth already underway. The president's team of 9 lawyers outlining the arguments they'll make at the trial in a 170-page legal brief, stating that the president did nothing wrong, did not commit a crime, and that even the Democrats' argument of abuse of power does not rise to an impeachable offense. And therefore, there's no valid reason for impeachment, something one of his lawyers argued over the weekend.
Is it your position that President Trump should not be impeached, even if all the evidence and arguments laid out by the House are accepted as fact?
That's right.
Democrats responding that a criminal offense is not required for impeaching and calling the president's defense a chilling assertion and dead wrong. The framers deliberately drafted a constitution that allows the Senate to remove a president who abuses their power to cheat in elections, betray our national security, and ignore checks and balances. And while the legal positions have been outlined, less than 24 hours to go, the format not quite clear. Democrats expected to be given 24 hours over 2 days to present their arguments and are still demanding witnesses.
We will force votes on witnesses and documents, and it will be up to 4 Republicans to side with the Constitution.
Senate Republicans hope to postpone a decision about witnesses until after House managers present their case and the president responds. The president signaling his opposition to witnesses on Twitter, writing, "They didn't want John Bolton and others in the House. They were in too much of a rush. Now they want them all in the Senate. Not supposed to be that way." But Trump had blocked House Democrats' attempts to hear from administration officials, claiming immunity.
President Trump won't even be stateside as the trial ramps up. He leaves tonight for Davos, Switzerland, attending the World Economic Forum. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
There was a historic announcement on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The U.S. Navy honoring a sailor who overcame racism to become a hero during the attack on Pearl Harbor. He was the first African-American in U.S. history to receive the Navy Cross for Valor. This morning, he became the first African-American to have an aircraft carrier named in his honor. The Navy announced the USS Doris Miller during its Martin Luther King Jr. ceremony. Despite his lack of training and Jim Crow laws that prevented him from even carrying a gun, Doris Miller risked his life to defend his ship and saved countless crewmen during the attacks. Miller, who was a cook at the time, ran above deck and took control of an abandoned machine gun, aiming for the sky and shooting down Japanese fighter planes.
Dory Miller's actions contradicted the popular belief that blacks and whites could not serve together, that blacks could not perform in combat.
His identity didn't become widely known until months later when a senior naval officer put in for Miller to receive a formal letter of commendation. But former President Franklin Roosevelt decided a letter simply wasn't enough, saying Miller deserved the Cross of Valor, the third highest honor at the time. Meantime, cities all around the country held special ceremonies and marches for MLK Day. In the nation's capital, the MLK Foundation held its annual wreath laying and day of reflection and reconciliation honoring the civil rights activist. In Savannah, Georgia, an annual parade was held with thousands of people attending the event. Atlanta, Georgia also hosted its yearly celebration for MLK. For the 20th year, the annual MLK Breakfast was put on by the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of Kern County. Numerous city and community leaders on hand for this morning's Community Awards Breakfast. It's a chance to mark this holiday by remembering one of the leaders of the civil rights movement and all he accomplished in life and death.
That's right, and what he died for. Not only he stood for it, not only did he walk the walk, but he talked the talk and he stood for it. And remember, he was a Baptist preacher. And so he felt strongly about civil rights.
A free luncheon was also held, and AmeriCorps gave away clothes and blankets. And in less than an hour, the annual MLK March will get underway near Bell Terrace Park, and they will head to the People's Missionary Baptist Church in Southeast Bakersfield. Here's a live look at where the march is set to get started around 6 p.m. You can see some candles already lit there and a few people on standby, but we're going to have much more on the march and all of the MLK celebrations around town coming up tonight on 23 ABC News at 6. Well, it turns out the world's strongest firefighter is from right here in Kern County. Over the weekend, Ben Gallagher competed for the title and won. Gallagher says he has been in strength competitions before, but never won like this. The annual strongman competition is put on by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Firefighters all over the world participate in the events that test their strength as they lift, pull, and push heavy weights through a variety of courses.
The atmosphere was unreal, like, you know, a couple thousand cheering fans. The governor is like sitting 2 feet away from you, cheering you on. And then the competitors too, the people I competed against, we're cheering for each other because it's like, this is just such a cool experience. As much as you want to win an event or do well, like you want to see the other people do well also.
So cool. It was Schwarzenegger himself that awarded him the title. Gallagher says this year's competition raised more than $100,000 for firefighter charities. He says he hopes this won't be his last time competing because he has a title to defend next year.